Chapter 2. No more fine print. Wyll did not sleep well in Avernus. This was not surprising. Nobody slept well in Avernus unless they were dead, infernal, or lying about it for professional reasons. But Wyll's sleeplessness had a particular shape, and Karlach learned it before she learned the rhythm of the red-black sky. She learned it in the small hours that were not really hours, in the pauses between ambushes, in the shelters they stole from bone-walled ruins and gutted war machines. She learned the sound of him lying awake, silent as prayer, one hand resting where a pact-bound focus had once hung, fingers flexing against empty air. At first, she pretended not to notice. A woman had to give a man his dignity, especially when he was the sort of man who polished dignity until it shone even while bleeding. On the third night, or the third red dark stretch that passed for night, she stopped pretending. They had made camp beneath the leaning shell of an infernal crawler, its enormous metal ribs half buried in ash. Wind scraped across the wasteland outside, dragging sparks over the ground like fireflies with bad intentions. Somewhere far away, something huge screamed once and then seemed to regret the effort. Karlach sat with her back against a wheel taller than a cottage, sharpening the edge of her axe because her hands needed work, and because the sound annoyed the little clicking things hiding under the rocks. Wyll lay a few feet away on a bedroll that had seen better plains. His eyes were closed. His breathing was even. His hand flexed. Once, twice. Karlach dragged the whetstone down the blade. Still trying to cast? Wyll's eyes opened. For half a heartbeat he looked younger, caught, unarmoured. Then the blade of frontiers returned, smooth as a curtain falling. I beg your pardon? Don't do that. Do what? The polite voice. I have several polite voices. Yeah, and I hate that I know that now. Despite himself, his mouth twitched. Karlach set the whetstone down. Your hand keeps doing the thing. Wyll looked at his hand as if it had betrayed state secrets. It is a habit. Bad one? Useful one, once. The words landed between them and stayed there. Karlach waited. That was something she was trying to learn from him, how not to rush into every silence with a joke, a shout, a swing. Silence had always felt like danger to her. In Avernus, if things went quiet, something was usually crouching nearby and deciding which part of you looked softest. But Wyll had silences that were not traps. Not always. Sometimes they were doors. After a while, he sat up and rested his arms on his knees. The first time Mizora withheld power from me, he said, I thought I had misjudged the spell. Karlach did not move. I was 17, frightened, proud enough not to admit either. She had given me words, gestures, forces I did not understand but could use. Eldritch fire, shields, things that made me feel strong? Necessary. Karlach nodded. Outside, sparks hissed against the crawler shell. When I reached for it and nothing came, I thought I had failed some lesson she had forgotten to teach me, that perhaps I was not devout enough, not obedient enough, not grateful enough. His lip curled faintly. Imagine that. Grateful. Karlach's fingers tightened around the haft of her axe. I can imagine a lot of things I'd like to do to her. Yes, Wyll said. You have been admirably clear on that point. And creative. Deeply. Strategic, even. That word is doing heroic labour. She grinned, but it faded quickly. What happened? Wyll looked toward the red glow seeping under the ribs of the war machine. She let me panic. Karlach's stomach turned. She watched me reach, and when I finally asked what I had done wrong, she said, Nothing, pet. I only wanted you to remember what rescue feels like when it leaves the room. He said it well. too well, like a line he had heard so often it had carved its own groove in him. Karlach felt heat climb through her chest, not the engine's old deadly flare, but anger, cleaner and more dangerous. "Gods," she said. "I hate her." Wyll laughed once without humour. "So do I." The answer surprised her, not because he should not hate Mizora. Every reasonable creature should have hated Mizora on sight, but because Wyll so often arranged his pain into noble shapes before letting anyone see it: duty, sacrifice, regret, responsibility. He was fluent in every language that made suffering sound useful. Hate from him sounded almost holy. He looked down at his hands. When the Absolute fell, she took the powers back. All of them. No ceremony, no farewell, no little speech, which I admit was a mercy. One moment I was still tethered to what she had made of me. The next, nothing. Karlach shifted closer. Did it hurt? No. She did not believe him. He glanced at her and sighed. Not the way you mean. Wyll. All right. Yes. But not in the flesh. His hand opened and closed again. It hurt like losing a limb made of bad decisions. Karlach barked a surprised laugh. He smiled faintly. Accurate? Awful, but accurate. It had been poison, but it had also been mine for years. Or I thought it was mine. That is the trick, I suppose. His voice thinned at the edges. She makes the cage feel like your own shape. Karlach stopped smiling. The wind outside scraped harder. Ash moved across the ground in whispering sheets. In the tavern, later, Karlach would tell this part with less detail than it deserved because she did not like the way Wyll's pain looked under other people's eyes. She would say, he had a rough time with the magic gone, and Wyll would try to soften it with some nonsense about adjustment periods, and Astarion would say something sharp enough to protect them both. But in Avernus, there had been no audience, only the two of them in the red dark. Do you miss it? She asked. Wyll did not answer quickly. I miss being able to protect people the way I knew how. That's not the same thing. No. So? He looked at her then, and the firelight caught the ridges of the horns Mizora had given him for refusing to kill her. The devil's mark, the punishment for mercy, the shape that had cost him the last clean thread of his father's approval, at least for a time, the shape he wore now because he had chosen a living woman over a devil's lie. I do not miss belonging to her, he said. Karlach's throat tightened. Good. But there are moments, he continued, when my body remembers the bargain before my mind does. A fight starts, someone cries out, I reach for a spell. And it's gone. And it is gone. He looked at his hand. Then I remember I am free. That sounds like it should feel better. Yes, he said. It should. Karlach moved until her shoulder bumped his. Freedom's a bastard sometimes. Wyll gave her a sidelong look. I am tempted to have that embroidered on something. I'd wear it. I know you would. She leaned her head back against the cold metal rib of the crawler. Still, you're free. Wyll was silent. Too silent. Karlach turned. No, she said. He blinked. No? No to whatever that face means. I have no face. You have one of the most face-having faces I've ever seen. What is it? He exhaled through his nose. Mizora said something. She says lots of things, that's half her problem. When we saved my father, Karlach's humour vanished. The Iron Throne was a memory full of water and ticking death. She had not been there for every moment of Wyll's choice, not in the way he had lived it, but she knew enough. Mizora had dangled his father's life in front of him like bait. Keep the pact, and she would help save Duke Ravengard. Break the pact, and she would let him die. Wyll had broken the pact, then saved him anyway. Because of course he had. Because Wyll Ravengard, infuriating man that he was, had the nerve to refuse a devil the shape of the story. She said you beat her, Karlach said. For now. Karlach's jaw tightened. Yeah, she smiled when she said it. Course she did. And then, after everything, after the brain fell, after the city survived, after my father stood alive in front of me, Will's voice dropped. I kept waiting. For what? For the claws I missed. The words struck harder than Karlach expected. Wyll looked away. That is what she trained into me. Not obedience only. Anticipation. If joy came, look for its hook. If mercy arrived, find the price. If I won, ask what losing condition I had failed to read. Karlach wanted to say something enormous and comforting, something warm enough to burn Mizora's shadow off him forever. Instead, she said, "Fuck." Wyll laughed softly. That too. She reached over and took his hand. He let her. She doesn't get him, Karlach said. No, she doesn't get you. No, she doesn't get us. His fingers folded around hers. No. Then we make sure she knows it. Will's eyes found hers. There it was, the thing he had not said yet. The thing waiting behind the sleeplessness, behind the hand reaching for magic that was gone, behind every silence shaped like an unfinished contract. Karlach. No, I know that voice. What voice? The one where you're about to say something noble and stupid. He looked offended. I do not say stupid things. You say very polished, stupid things? I object to this classification. Object after say it. Wyll drew a breath. I intend to hunt her. The words did not surprise Karlach. What surprised her was how calm she felt hearing them. Not because hunting Mizora was safe. It was not. Not because Wyll had no right to revenge. He did. Not because Karlach wanted more hell in her life. She wanted a clean bed, a cold drink, a city street under her boots, and about 10 years of uninterrupted touching. But there were some monsters that did not stop being monsters because you escaped their teeth. There were some doors you closed behind you, then barred, then burned, then stood guard over because you knew someone else would come running in the dark. Good, she said. Wyll frowned. Good? Yeah, good. I had expected an argument. Why? It is dangerous. Everything here is dangerous. It may delay our search for your engine. My engine's why we're here. Mizora's why you can't sleep. That is not... It is. Karlach squeezed his hand, not gently. And I am not the only one who gets to want a life back. He stared at her. She shrugged, suddenly uncomfortable with the directness of her own tenderness. What? You are very good at that. At what? Making me feel seen and attacked at the same time. Karlach grinned. Gift. Wyll smiled, but it was a small thing. I do not want to chase vengeance for its own sake. Then don't. I want... He stopped, searching. I want the next boy she finds to have warning. I want the next frightened child with a city burning behind him to know the hand reaching out may be holding a knife. I want no more contracts dressed as courage, no more mercy with chains hidden in the hem. Karlach listened. The sparks outside moved like stars falling sideways. I want, Wyll said. No more fine print. There it was. Karlach felt the words settle into place. No more fine print. Not revenge. Not only revenge. A vow. A line drawn through every clever little clause that turned desperation into ownership. In the tavern, Gale would later repeat the phrase under his breath, turning it like a gem. Shadowheart would nod once, sharp and approving. Astarion, who understood more about ownership than he liked to admit, would look away and say nothing for a long moment. But here, under the broken ribs of a dead war machine, Karlach only said, "That's good." Wyll blinked. What? No more fine print, that's good. Strong, very you. Thank you. I mean, a bit wordy, but in a handsome way. He laughed, and gods, she loved that she could still make him do that. You wound me. I would never. Not unless you needed wounding. Comforting. She shifted closer, their shoulders pressed fully together now. So, we fix my engine. Yes. We find the blueprints. Yes. We follow the creepy ledger trail. Regrettably, yes. We find Flo because apparently the Hell Gossip Network has better records than half of Baldur's Gate. Likely. And somewhere in there we hunt Mizora. Wyll looked at her. We? Karlach turned toward him with exaggerated seriousness. Oh no, sorry. Were you planning on hunting the devil who tormented you, tried to get you to kill me, turned you horned for not killing me, threatened your dad, tried to spider murder your dad, and keeps making your face do that sad, gorgeous thing? Were you planning to do that alone? His ears reddened. My face does not... It does, Karlach. You're not doing it alone, he swallowed. It may be ugly. We're in Avernus. Uglier than that. I've seen ugly. It may require choices I do not yet know how to make. Karlach's grin softened into something fiercer. Then we learn. The answer went through him. She saw it. The way his shoulders loosened by a fraction, the way his hand stopped flexing for absent magic and simply held hers. The way the Blade of Frontiers, the son of Ravengard, the pact broken man sitting under a dead machine in hell, looked at her as if she had just handed him something he had not known he was allowed to carry. Not a spell. Not a blade. Company. I love you, he said. Karlach's heart did something no infernal engineer had designed it to do. It stumbled. The engine remained steady. Avernus kept it living, but beneath the metal, beneath the heat, beneath everything that had been done to her, something soft and stubborn answered. She looked away first. Oh, that's dirty fighting. Will's smile warmed. Is it? Can't just say that when I'm being inspiring. Takes the wind right out. I apologize. No, you don't. No, he admitted. I don't. She turned back. For once, she did not make a joke quickly enough to save herself. I love you too, she said. The words came out rough, honest, a little scared. Will's expression changed in that way she liked too much, like the whole hellscape had briefly failed to matter. Then something under the rocks clicked. Karlach closed her eyes. Jeffrey. Wyll looked toward the sound. Jeffrey. I named the wall thing. The thing that has been scratching for hours. Yeah. Another click. Closer. Wyll reached for his blade. Karlach lifted her axe. Do we think Jeffrey has friends? He asked. The ground beneath the rocks split. A dozen chitinous things poured out, all hooked legs and wet mouths. Karlach sighed. Jeffrey has a family. Wyll stood. How lovely for him. They fought back to back. Later, Karlach would remember that fight less for the monsters and more for the way Wyll moved without magic. Not weaker, different. His blade flashed in the red dark, precise and bright. He did not need eldritch fire to be dangerous. He did not need a patron to be brave. When one of the creatures lunged for his side, Karlach crushed it under her boot. Careful, she said. I thought you hated that word. When you say it. He smiled while parrying. Hypocrisy noted. Put it in the contract. No more contracts. Right, forgot. Put it on a napkin. He laughed again. They killed Jeffrey's entire extended family. Karlach felt a little bad about it afterward, but only a little. By morning, or whatever insult to morning Avernus offered, Wyll slept. Actually slept, not deeply, not peacefully. His hand still twitched once toward magic that was no longer there. But then it stilled, fingers curling against the edge of his blanket. Karlach sat watch until the sky bruised brighter. She watched him sleep and thought about Mizora. She thought about the woman with the beautiful smile and the rot behind it. She thought about the way devils found people at the exact moment a choice had teeth. She thought about Wyll at 17, fire behind him, a city in danger, a devil calling herself rescue. She thought about herself, trusting Gortash, and the ledger they had found, and it haunted her. Hell did not only take the weak. Sometimes it took the brave first, because brave people could be convinced to call the knife a duty. Karlach looked out over the ash. "No more fine print," she said quietly. Wyll slept on. The words felt good in her mouth. A promise with edges. When he woke, she had breakfast ready. Breakfast was a generous term. It was half a strip of suspicious dried mushroom, a hard biscuit that had survived at least one war, and water that tasted faintly of metal but had not attempted to crawl away. Wyll stared at it. "You spoil me?" "Damn right." He sat up, wincing faintly where one of Geoffrey's cousins had clipped his ribs. Karlach handed him the less suspicious half of the mushroom. He noticed. "Karlach." "What?" "This is the better half. You need protein." "I am not sure this contains protein." "You need whatever it contains. So do you." "I'm bigger." "That is not an argument." "It is in most taverns." He tried to hand it back. She glared at him. He glared back with far less success because he was Wyll and therefore tragically handsome when attempting sternness. Finally, he broke the strip in two again and gave her half. "There," he said. "A diplomatic solution." Karlach accepted it, pretending to grumble. "You're lucky I love you." "Yes," he said. She froze. He looked up at her, and there was no tease in him now. "I am." Damn him. Damn him and his stupid, sincere face. She ate the mushroom because if she did not put something in her mouth, she might start crying, and she had already done enough of that recently for one hell trip. They packed before the heat shifted. Wyll checked his blade. Karlach checked her axe. They put the dead crawler behind them and set out towards Flo's name before they knew it, toward every scrap of truth waiting with teeth bared. They walked side by side. No patron, no army, no blessing from above. Just a blade no longer on a leash and a burning heart refusing to be a grave. In the tavern, when Karlach finished this part, she expected a joke. She wanted one, maybe. Jokes made things easier to swallow. Jokes were tavern bred for grief. But for once, no one reached immediately. Astarion looked down at his glass. His face was arranged in its usual lovely carelessness, but his fingers had tightened around the stem. "Devils," he said, "are so tediously predictable." Shadowheart's eyes flicked to him, then away. "In what way?" Gale asked softly. Astarion smiled without showing teeth. "They always think needing something makes a person theirs." No one spoke. The pipe in Gale's hand released a quiet curl of smoke. It formed, briefly, the outline of a chain-breaking link by link. Gale looked at it, then at Astarion, and very wisely did not comment. Shadowheart lifted her cup. "No more fine print," she said. Wyll looked at her. She shrugged. "It's a good line." Karlach beamed. "Told you?" Wyll ducked his head, smiling despite himself. "To no more fine print," Gale said, raising his glass. Astarion hesitated only a fraction before lifting his own. "To reading things before signing," he said. Karlach pointed at him. "See? Growth? Don't get used to it." Their glasses touched. For a moment, the tavern held the sound like a bell. Then Gale cleared his throat. "Now, regarding this ledger house—" "No," Karlach said. "I have several questions." "You always have several questions. In this case, they are relevant. They can wait. Can they?" "Yes," Shadowheart said. Gale looked betrayed by the entire table. Wyll leaned back, his shoulder brushing Karlach's. "So there was the ledger house," he said. "And after that?" Flow, Karlach said. Astarion smiled. Ah, yes, the Garrett Cabaret. You have no idea, Karlach said. I am hoping to. Wyll looked amused and faintly pained at the same time. Karlach squeezed his hand under the table. No more fine print, she thought. No more cages shaped like choices, no more devils calling a leash love. Then she grinned at the table, bright and wicked. Right, she said. So the next destination was the last sip. It's not what you might think, commented Wyll.
I was 17 with fire behind me, Baldur's gate in flame. She came with mercy in her smile and already knew my name. She said, sign here, be brave, be good, be everything they need. So I put my soul in burning ink and called the bargain duty. My father saw the pact with hell before he knew the cost. He cast me out to save his city from the son he thought he'd lost. I carried exile like a title, carried shame beneath my skin, while she held the leash and smiled every time I called it sin. Then she pointed me towards slaughter, called a devil, called a prey. But I saw the burning heart there, and I threw the lie away. So she gave me horns for mercy, gave me fire, gave me blame. But I am more than what she mocked, I am more than what she named. No more fine print, no more sweet little lies, no more smiling while the hook slides quiet through the prize. No more mercy with a chain, no more virtue sold as debt, no more heroes on a leash, no more souls caught in the net. When the absolute had taken her, we dragged her from the dark. She offered me my freedom delayed, 6 months to end the mark. Then came my father in their prison, and she sharpened up the knife. Keep the pact and I will help you, break it now and lose his life. So I broke it, still I found him, through the water, through the steel, through the spiders set to slaughter, through the prison meant to seal. She said, well played for now, dear Wyll, with poison in her grace. And I learned the devil's promise always leaves an aftertaste. She took back all the power, let the borrowed magic die. But a blade is not the spell it casts, a man is not the lie. And I walked out with my father, with my name still bruised but mine. Now I read the ash she left me, and I see between the lines. No more fine print, no more sweet little lies, no more smiling while the hook slides quiet through the prize. No watching doors, still finding frightened children in their burning wars, still selling rescue with a hidden blade, still making monsters out of debts unpaid. Now I know I wasn't cheap, no accident, no game. The son of Ravengard was weighed before she spoke my name. She did not find me falling, she built the ledge below. She taught the dark to call for me and waited till I'd go. No more fine print, no more blood beneath the line, no more contracts dressed as courage, no more theft disguised as mine, no more children buying mercy, no more souls for her regret. Another oath, another frightened hand, another name in burning ink, another life she planned. She will have to pass through me, through the blade I choose to be. Not a hound, not a prize, not a pet, nobility. She made a weapon of my mercy, she made a bargain of my pain. But the pact is broken now, and I am not afraid of change. Let her run through every hell, let her hide behind the flame. I will